what happened to my special guest? He didn't come in by boom tube. Oh! Oh! Oh, I forgot about the door.
It's there, so...
Take a seat.
Well, thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the special end of the year episode of In the Library of Graphic Literature, the big books of 2018. With me, Wallace Ryan, and my special guest, Dennis Osbourne.
Hello.
So, as you folks can see, we have a huge pile of books here. So we're going to try our best to get through as much as possible. Yeah. Okay.
Just some of our favorites throughout the year.
Yeah.
Some of them are not necessarily the best books of the year, but some of our personal favorites.
Oh, that's your list.
There you go.
And we also have our lists here too of upcoming 2019 books that we'll go through. Hopefully before we run out of time.
There you go.
Okay, you first. I'll insist.
All right.
Okay.
So first on my list was X-Men Grand Design by Ed Piskor.
Oh yeah.
From the hip hop family, from the hip hop family tree.
Check them out, folks.
Creator. They're oversized books. They're like the Marvel Treasury Edition size.
Yeah.
When they were re-releasing them.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous. He went through the entire history of the X-Men. They're kind of simplified, got rid of all the dead weight and the lagging parts.
Oh yeah.
Just core to the point stories. They're really artsy, more of a pop street style. Gorgeous books.
Yeah.
Number 2's not open yet because I bought the single issues as they were coming out. So I kind of just upgraded to the oversized hardcovers, but should be a must on any X-Men fan list.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, for sure.
I buy all the hardcovers, the omnibus. So it was just a nice companion piece just on the end of the shelves.
Yeah.
Just a different version, different style.
Okay,
so
cool.
Definitely on my list.
Excellent first choice there. Okay, for myself, I guess I'll start with the start of my stack. This is from this is The Absolute Wonder Woman by Azzarello and Chang. This has to be one of the best Wonder Woman stories I think of recent years.
Oh yes,
for sure. Right. Okay, go ahead. You're next.
I had, even though it's not a graphic novel, Marvelocity, the Marvel Comics art of Alex Ross. It's the Marvel version of Mythology, which was released years ago. It goes through his entire history of growing up as a kid, being a big Marvel fan, making action figures out of cardboard in the 70s and 80s. Right up through to recently, he has sketches for a Fantastic Four relaunch when he was contracted to do that. Now, it wasn't successful, and they ended up going with the Dan Slott, Sarah Pincelli run.
Yeah.
But it's still a fantastic book to have. There's an original story at the end of it.
Oh, go ahead.
Unique to that book. So, well worth to be in any comic collection. And it kind of matches with Mythology, so.
Okay.
So that was high on my list.
I like the look of it. Okay, let's see there. Yeah, toss me that one. This year marked, sadly, and you know how you get to the end of a series and you're kind of like, damn, I wish I could lose my memory and reread this entire thing over again. Same with the Don Rose, Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck books. Now funny enough, I mean, you know, I only became a big Duck fan after reading the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. These are bloody great comics, right? So yeah, highly recommended. Okay, next for you.
I'm going to stay with the Marvel theme.
Okay.
I have Spider-Man vs. Venom.
Check that out, folks.
So it's almost 2 different collections in one, and the name is kind of misleading. The Spider-Man vs. Venom is basically the first half of it, when you're getting the Venom collections from the Eric Larson and Todd McFarlane run. Yeah. And then the second half is almost a Carnage collection, because you're getting the debut of Carnage, in which Spider-Man really didn't fight Venom. They were more unlikely allies. Yeah. And then that leads right into some of the Marvel Comics Presents tie-in issues. But then you collect, surprisingly, the entire Maximum Carnage series.
Oh, okay.
Which they did not fight at all. 1 or 2 pages, but they were partners in the entire thing. Yeah. I picked that up for Maximum Carnage specifically because I have the Larson and the McFarlane run. Okay. Because I grew up on Maximum Carnage. So in '94, I had the comic books. Then they released the video game, which I had growing up. In '94, they debuted the cartoon. They released the toy line. And the toy line was Spider-Man, Venom, and Carnage. So it was this giant media blitz that Marvel, probably for the first time, has ever done.
Yeah.
Which they released a video game based off a specific storyline. And everything was just mass marketed to kids at that time. So, it's definitely on my list.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay. Oh, no, I'll go for the up there, yeah. This is a René Tardy, Prisoner of War in Stalag 2B. I guess this, I'm a huge fan of this guy. Tardy, well, this is about his dad, Jacques Tardy. It's funny because when I first started reading heavy metal, which is where I first came across him, I actually didn't like him at first. But then after more and more, and especially after I got more and more of his books, like E.C. Mim and some other stuff, I just really began to love it. And now, of course, where I'm working on a book about grandfather, this is why I just had to get this. And this is book part 1.
Okay.
So there is going to be another one. So, okay, tardy. Let's not be tardy. Okay.
All right. Get you to hold that one.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Here.
That is Complete Crimson.
Check it
by
out, folks.
Brian Augustin and Humberto Ramos. So that is the oversized slipcover. It's still not open because I have a huge backlog I'm trying to get through.
Yeah.
But I did read it when it originally came out. So part of the Cliffhanger launch in the late 90s with Joe Mad's Battle Chasers, J. Scott Campbell's Danger Girl, and Humberto Ramos' Crimson Line. Terrible delays. Releasing Doctor 2, but Ramos relatively consistent. They put out 24 issues of the series. It was actually finished, unlike the other two. He actually then launched a second series, which was out there. And because of his style, and he started to get more mainstream with Crimson and Out There, he did a 4-issue run on Spectacular Spider-Man, Return of the Green Goblin, and that was so acclaimed that they ended up launching his own series, Spectacular Spider-Man, with Paul Jenkins. And he's, for the most part, since early 2000s, he's been a consistent Spider-Man artist ever since.
Okay.
So, but this is where, after Impulse, and I think X-Nation and DV8, he really started to make a name for himself with mainstream audiences, and basically started his career. And now he's almost full-time with Marvel.
Sweet.
So there.
It must have there, folks. Okay, and, oh yeah, and this is for, and I think we did talk about this in the last year's episode in terms of upcoming ones, and because of where Dark Horse had stopped printing the Airy and Creepy archives, but then, thank God, they took them on again. And this stuff has a lot of really great stuff in terms of like people like, I think, well, E.R. Cruz, Val Mayrick, but some of them, they also have this other guy, Alex Nino also did some stuff for him, and a lot of the really super cool foreign artists from the 70s. So that's, and I mean, Airy was really, and Creepy were ahead of its time. When I was growing up, it was the only, you couldn't get a decent horror comic to save your life, right? Okay, on with you.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Another one, which was, again, this was not open. I actually got that one for Christmas this year. So that's the X-Men Mutant Massacre. It's the second hardcover release. This is the expanded edition, which contains all the tie-in issues, not just X-Men.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see that. The Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
Yeah, they're all included there.
The Thor,
and the miniseries. So they're all included.
Okay.
Marvel's X-Men's first big crossover. Because they had X Factor, and they had, well, I think New Mutants.
Yeah.
And they had all these other comic books that they could start tie-in, and this big, massive mutant event.
Yeah.
It also ties into my large X-Men collection.
Yeah.
So this fills out another giant run, which was missing the gap leads up to Fall of the X-Men.
Yeah.
So now...
Yes, I remember that.
if they just finish... If they do an Uncanny X-Men Volume 4 and Volume 5... Or, sorry, Volume 4, Volume 5? Yes. Mm-hmm. That will give us a run from X-Men #1 right up to... I think the Onslaught Saga. So you're talking well over 300 and almost 350 issue straight run.
Jesus.
Close to. So that was the main key part of that.
They really do got a lot of it in a hardcover, right?
They do, and they were consistent, even though people are saying they're not big in the X-Men now before they got the rights back.
Yeah.
Because the movies, and they were kind of just trying to push the X-Men aside. They were steadily releasing all the hardcovers.
Yeah.
And there is a huge X-Men collection completed, also of X-Force, X-Factor, Cable, New Mutants, because where they're all consecutive now. They're all tossing in little bits in between.
Yeah.
And there's consecutive runs of everything already completed.
Actually, that's one I'd add to my hopeful list. Actually, was I never thought about that. An X Factor.
An X Factor.
Omnibus.
So X Factor is actually, majority of them are completed.
Yeah.
From, I think, 10 to 50
Oh, okay,
are already completed in hardcovers.
Okay, yeah.
But if hopefully in volume 4, volume 5, however many they decide to do, if they include that run inside now, then you'll have a massive run of early X Factor, including the runs, along with New Mutants and eventually X Force and everything.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
they're doing a really good job collecting those.
Okay, let's. Oh, look at this. This is a heavy one here, and of course Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Who doesn't like the boys?
Exactly.
Right? I mean, this has. I got this. Funny enough, I got this only for one or two things that I was missing because I have these all in the absolute size.
Right.
And it just looks so nice too. It's just like.
I think it also collects Catwoman Win in Rome.
Yes,
So
that's the reason. Yeah, and that's the one then.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which exactly, but yeah, I love Sale's work. He has a simplicity to him that's. I mean, I've seen him when he did that Challenges to the Unknown.
Yes.
In the '90s, I think that was their first work together, and they were a kick-ass team.
And Marvel also released this year the expanded version of their colored line.
Yes.
They added the Captain America one.
Yes.
So
yeah,
you had
and I got that one too.
yellow, blue, Captain America
gray
white,
and
gray.
Yeah.
So they're all collected. So there's been several of them released this year.
And yeah, that kind of ticked me off because I had the earlier omnibus where they collected the first 3 colors.
Right.
Oh, okay. Anyway, here we go. And this is one we both have.
Marvel Knights by Joe Quesada. It's pretty much Daredevil by Joe Quesada.
Yeah.
I think they just tossed in the Marvel Knights because it was the 20th anniversary this year.
Oh, okay.
So they used the Marvel Knights banner. But again, it fills out Daredevil.
Yeah, it is. Actually, even looking at it here.
It's
right?
Daredevil 1 to 15, Daredevil Father, and a couple of half issues and one-shots.
Marvel Authentics, yeah.
But it finishes off, for the most part, the Daredevil Volume 2 run. So you have 1 to 15. There's the 2 Bendis Omnibus, the 2 Brubaker. Then we have the Shadowland one, which is the Andy Diggle issues.
Yeah.
That finishes that off. Only thing that's missing are the Bob Gale 5 issues, I think, or his little story arc run, which was panned, and I don't think they've ever reprinted. I think there's a paperback version coming out which tosses it in, so you might see that one day. And a 51-55 Return of Echo. That was never collected in an oversized hardcover. So maybe they'll do a Daredevil by Bendis Mac, have the early issues from this completed, collected again, and then the secondary issues, and then we'll have the entire Volume 2 finally collected.
Okay.
So.
I like this.
There you go.
There you go. I got to read mine too. I got to crack. No, I did crack mine open actually. That's right. Oh, and this is this. What was it? Local Comic Shop Day. This was the special Exo Man of War edition with the signed and numbered. I love these signed and numbered. And it's funny. It's Matt Kint. Who I have a lot of.
There's a few books there from
signed and numbered stuff. But this story, I've actually read it too. As you can see, there's no bookmark in it. I've read it top to bottom, and I always was actually Exo Man of War was one of the few Valiant ones that I was truly nuts about in all incarnations.
Right.
And this one, I mean, this got to be their best-selling title. I figure,
would say
right?
so.
You know, because even down at the shop, the only comics that I can think of on people's lists are this and maybe
Quantum of Woody, because it's online.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, and someone was getting in Faith.
Okay.
I think, but yeah, great book, great color. I love the cover, and I love this this dust jacket. Right.
Oh, nice.
Got to make sure not to lose it though. Okay, your turn.
All right, we have Punisher Back to the War.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
So basically, his early Punisher appearances.
This is actually one of my favorites too.
So the Mike Zeck miniseries, that's all collected. His first couple of debut issues in 129, they're all collected in there as well. And the Daredevil issues.
Oh wow, I didn't.
And they're also fully collected.
Oh, okay.
So if you've been collecting the Daredevil omnibus, there's been several out. The Ennis ones are out. There's 3 of the Ennis ones. The Jason Aaron one, the Marvel Max, and the Remender one has also been collected. So it's a few, but it's kind of just the origin 70s, 80s versions of Punisher finally collected.
Oh, I had that giant-sized Spider-Man and the Punisher where they're in some kind of death camp of some sort. I remember that.
But it was a nice collection.
Yeah.
So
I get Yeah, I got it myself. Well, hey, this is my copy.
There you go.
Okay. Let's see. Yes, what at that? And this is one of my favorite. I'm still in the reading mode. House of Secrets. Now this one does have people like, let's see here, Alex Toth, Wally Wood, Jerry Conway, Neil Adams. But it also has people like the guy I mentioned before, Alex Nino, and a lot of the Nestor Redondo, a lot of the Filipino artists. Actually, there's even I think there's even a Jim Aparo there. But especially the Alex Nino, he's one of the most underrated artists, I think, from this era. It is. I can't even remember. Oh yeah, that's not him. Oh, E.R. Cruz, but a lot of them. But some Adam stuff. But yeah, these are so cool, man. And I can't wait for. Well, we'll talk about that
right
in the upcoming one. But yeah, definitely a must-have. Okay, go ahead there, sire. Oh yeah.
There you go. There's Miles Morales Spider-Man. Obviously, very popular character anyways. With the new release into the Spider-Verse movie, he's become even more popular. He's become a mainstream Spider-Man character now. This book actually came out ahead of the movie. Kind of to jump ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Way ahead, actually. Good continuation for the Spider-Man omnibus, which was released several years ago. It was that one, then was the Death of Spider-Man, and then that kind of launched right into this one. So it's a consecutive run. They never did finish the Ultimate Spider-Man run. They stopped after the very first one, so there's still 80-something issues that still need to be collected. So maybe if this gets a lot of traction and popularity, they'll feel they need to go back and continue the rest of the Ultimate Universe collections, which would be really nice to see. So.
Oh, okay. Check it out, people. Miles Morales. Okay. Oh yeah, and Harrow County. It's funny, out of the couple of the books I read from Dark Horse this year, this one and my next choice are two of my great comic book discoveries this year. I mean, Harrow County, it blew my mind. I was surprised. I picked it up because I like Colin Bond stuff, but this just twisted my mind. Right? Have you read it yourself?
I haven't, no.
Oh, you're in for a treat. I envy you because it's one of those things that once you finish reading, you kind of look back and say, God, I wish I could have amnesia and read that all over again. Right? But this, absolutely stunning. Way to go, Colin. Okay, go for it. Oh, yes.
So we have, we talked about Garth Ennis earlier. This is Punisher by Garth Ennis, Volume 1, the Marvel Max version. The regular Marvel one was collected before, I think 1 to 32.
Yeah.
They put out Volume 1 and Volume 2 came out this year. So it goes right back to a more violent, gritty comic. It is fantastic. Obviously, it's Marvel Max line, so it's more adult themed. That later led into the Jason Aaron run, which it kind of determined was the Marvel Max line was their own continuity.
Yeah.
And they're not part of the regular Marvel Universe. Then they relaunched Punisher, they went back to the Marvel Universe again. But the entire Marvel Max line was violent, like Punisher, gritty, blood, gore.
Green, in other words.
Fantastic. If you're a Punisher fan, obviously, I would probably recommend the Marvel Max versions over any of the versions.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
And now it's fully completed with the 2 volumes released. So.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think I've read through both of them now. But yeah, fabulous. Oh yeah, here we go. And speaking of great books from Dark Horse, Black Hammer. Now this one, have you read this one?
I don't know.
This one is, well, especially for a fan of older comics and all that, there's all kinds of, Easter eggs throughout this. But it's bloody brilliant.
And Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, exactly. So. Let's see. Oh, won Best New Series.
There you go.
And justifiably so. This one also, like I say, blew my mind just like Harrow County did, right?
I love the Black Horse or Dark Horse library editions.
Yes.
Because they're great size, they're great quality, dust jackets, and the prices.
Yeah.
Like the Goon library editions were an exceptional price. I mean, that one there was.
This is $49.99.
$49.
US, which is still.
Oh my God! Yes.
Well, compared to the same price for like a Masterworks. You got a much bigger, more pages, everything like that.
You compare to a Marvel or a DC omnibus.
Yeah.
They hit $100. For books that size, if not more. So it's they're doing a great line.
Yeah, and this amazing, just flat out amazing, according to Patton Oswalt.
There you go.
I'll take his word for it. I don't know him that well, but oh yes, and here is This is a choice on both of our lists,
Right.
wasn't
So
it?
it's Silver Surfer by Slott and Allred. Complete now. The series was finished. People give Dan Slott a bit of a hard time because of his Spider-Man run, because it was so lengthy, I think. You kind of run out of steam a little bit. But the Silver Surfer run was fantastic.
Oh, it's
I think I recommended it to you when you
yeah,
ordered it on spec.
That's exactly why. And I'm about, well, according to my bookmark here, I'm about halfway through it. But I'm loving it. It's one of the best Silver Surfer storylines that I can think of, actually, right?
The Allred works really well. It's a very pop, bright, colorful style with all the different space creatures and just space in general. He does that fantastic.
Yeah.
It has a, you can tell Slott is a bit of a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
Because obviously he has a companion with Rose. Is it Rose?
Yeah.
Rose.
Yeah.
And again, the space character going around. It's an exceptional book and the winner of 2016 Eisner Award for Best Single Issue.
Yeah.
And highly recommend the book. Probably one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah, and definitely it's one of my favorites too. I would say. So this is a 2-star or a 10-star one. Oh yes. And speaking of, because we were just talking about this before we came on about the Marvel magazines, and we mentioned it after. And this one was a cool one from Boom. This is the Planet of the Apes Archives. This is book 4. This one has, I think this is the one that has the Alfredo Akela in it. I can't remember if it's this one or the. Anyway, he's in some of the other ones. But the art throughout this entire series, because I didn't read these when I was a kid, and then when I seen them when they came out into these books, it was just like, geez, I really missed a lot. But they have Sonny Trinidad, who is also another favorite of mine. Virgil Redondo, obviously one of the Redondos. Tom Sutton. Tom Sutton has been one of the most underrated artists. Actually, this is his stuff here. There, he has been one of the most underrated artists of the 1970s. His stuff, I thought, just twisted my brain. All right, he did some Doctor Strange comics that were just absolutely bloody fantastic. But yeah, it's kind of neat to be seeing more of these Marvel magazines hit the hands, right? Okay.
We'll talk more about that later.
Yes.
So,
okay.
That one. So we have The Runaways by Brian K. Vaughan. Re-released because the TV series debuted.
Yeah.
But this was long overdue. This was on everyone's must-have omnibus list long before it was even mentioned of the TV series.
The winner of Eisner and Harvey Awards.
So for years, it was released in 3 oversized hardcovers, which collects that in its entirety. So that was the only way to get it before. But how I got into it was through the digests.
Oh, okay.
They released the economical $7.99 digest, and they went up 12, 13 of them, if not more. And it's kid friendly.
Yeah.
It's a kid friendly comic book, which a lot of times now there aren't very many kid friendly comic books you can recommend from Marvel or DC.
Yeah. That adults would also
also enjoy.
Because I'm loving this so far. I'm still about a third of the way through this, but I'm loving it. This was another recommendation from you to me, right? Well, you have some good recommendations there.
It's all Marvel, but some of them are good.
Now here, this one, I mean, this is still on my reading list. I like to look at. It really reminded me. It's very Chris Ware-like, but I had to read of bits of it throughout, and it seemed pretty good. And this one actually has also been on a lot of best of lists. So I figured, hey, toss it in anyway, right? But yeah, great. It's looking really good so far. Okay. On to you.
All right.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
So this is actually your copy. I still haven't actually read Vision, even though it's highly recommended.
Highly recommended.
So I think Eisner Award winner Tom King is a fantastic writer. He just finished Mr. Miracle.
Yep.
He just, which hasn't been collected yet. Guaranteed that's going to be in next year's video.
Yeah.
As top books of 2019. Whether they do a paperback, the art is pretty enough to being an absolute.
Please. Sorry.
But it's weird because Vision wouldn't be a normal character you'd think be able to build a series around.
No.
Especially Vision family. But it apparently worked out very well. You've been raving about it since you picked up the hardcover.
Well, I was a big Vision fan growing up, from the Avengers and all that. And when I started reading it, was because there'd been some good series and Vision stories throughout the years. This has to be one of the best, right?
And the biggest twist on Vision, because you think of classic Vision comics and Vision stories, this is just out in left field.
Oh yeah,
This is Vision living
well, the whole
domestic home life.
Yeah, the whole idea of him having children and all that, and the fact that he made them, it was just like, there was something kind of strange about it.
But it worked.
Oh yeah, oh totally. Now this is from my good buddy Craig Yo. Hey Craig, hello to you from us. And this is an amazing collection. Craig, I've likened to, he's like a great comic curator. His books are almost like shows in and of themselves. And this one, obviously, we spoke out comic books in the Holocaust, you know, and it's about different stories related to the Holocaust. But I mean, it has some classic, like this one here, the Captain Marvel story. Like it actually, you know, uses some mainstream people to get the point across. This Neil Adams story there, which was one of my favorite. This Kubert story. There's also in among this too, my buddy Paul Tucker, who actually dropped by a book for us here today, and we've seen earlier. There's a story in this that was always one of his favorites. Where is it? Jeez, I think it's actually at the start. I think I jumped over it. Yeah, this is it. The Master Race. This is just in terms of an influence on people. This story was just absolutely top notch. It's Bernie Creeks, and it's a great story, and Paul always loves that story, right?
I like the collection of classic war stories because it seems Marvel and DC now are getting really gun shy with releasing them. The before Batman Detective Comics slipcase, which hopefully they change their mind, decide to release. Yeah, the Shazam story, which is supposed to get released.
Yeah, because it's like what I've seen people say, to censor these are like you're denying a part of history. It's just like, well, people did think this way and all that, and it's just like censoring it may make you feel good about yourself now and all that, but it's blind, right? You gotta, and that's what I love about reading old comics actually, is to see how they're situated in their era at the time, because everything, the social mores, everything, it's like watching old movies. There are things in old movies that have obviously changed socially and all that. But it's kind of cool to see them just the same, right?
It's nice to see how you evolved as a society and what is not politically correct anymore. Yeah. You go back to comic books from the 80s.
Oh yeah.
There's still a lot of it that is not politically correct.
Yeah. You see now then. You could or. Here we go.
I've read some. I read the first couple of paperbacks years ago. This is actually Wallace's copy. It's not mine. But Ex Machina, the complete series by Brian K. Vaughan and Tony Harris.
Yeah.
Tony Harris, well known for Starman from the 90s.
Yeah.
And Brian K. Vaughan, we talk about Runaways. Brian K. Vaughan comes up on a lot of lists, and he's very diverse.
Yeah.
So this is basically about a man who, very first superhero ever, power to control machines.
Yeah.
And then eventually runs for political, mayor, and then...
And look at the size of it, too.
And it's huge, and that's the complete run. I think it was 10 paperbacks at the time that were released.
Ooh. And
they finally collected it, so...
Oh, of course. And then Commandy. I was a big Commandy fan growing up. Because this was around the time that I started to really get Kirby, and of course, this was going out at the time. And I love it. It's wildly imaginative. Like, some people say, oh, well, it's a rip-off of Planet of the Apes. Well, like, no, because Kirby actually did a story back in the 50s centered on the same concept. And it looked actually like what I call a proto-Commandy story. So, definitely want one there.
And they're doing a great job with collecting all the Kirby things, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
Fourth World.